Well, okay, let's back it up a little bit here. So we knew something was amiss 3 months ago, so a quarter ago, when we were looking at the S&P 500. So I'm pulling up the S&P 500 chart. We saw this huge run up, right? But when we looked at so the S&P 500 is a weighted index. So the bigger companies get more influence on the S&P 500 price. But when we do the S&P 500 equal weighting where they take each of those 500 companies and give it an equal share, we saw that during the same amount of time this S&P 500 equal weighting was going sideways. So that means that we could then look at which companies get the biggest amount of weighting in the S&P 500, and I don't mean WAITING like sitting being patient. I'm talking about the weight, how much influence the S&P 500 gets from each individual stock component. And we looked at the biggest ones, and it was Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia, right? Those were the 3 companies getting a heck ton of investment while the rest of the companies were sitting sidelines. Then we went a little bit further and we went back to the S&P 500 realizing that it was being influenced by pretty much these 3 tech companies, maybe a little bit by companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, maybe not so much Tesla. These are the FANG stocks, right? Um, we noticed that there was a lot. Like if I bring in my drawings here, I'm going to bring in my drawing right here. We noticed starting May 30th that we were getting to highs that didn't make sense, right? We didn't get enough pullback in order to have those same big money investors bringing the market to highs. So we had been you can go back to previous shows of our SIP and you could see that we were like, where is this money coming from? We saw a lot of money coming in from like crypto. And already, the folks that were, interested in crypto like 3 or 4 years ago, we know that they're almost like new, fickle, maybe not as much financially educated or investor educated type folks. They're more looking for like quick wins. So this whole Nvidia story, the top line of Nvidia was really pushed over the edge by some investors that were looking for like overnight wins. They were looking for quick wins. The bottom line is Nvidia had earnings this past Thursday. Yes, they beat expectations. And yes, they totally raised guidance, which means they expect next earnings to even be off the charts. But there was some stretch goals that they didn't hit, right? And so these get rich quick investors are all of a sudden like, I'm not getting rich quick. And they started to pull their money out of Nvidia. And we saw that all throughout the week. As you know, they want to get rich quick.